Bismillah, in this video we are going to explore how to formulate a assessment rubric, an assessment rubric there. So this is the overview of the step. There are 5 steps here. The first one is to write the task description, determine the criteria, determine the rating scale or develop the level, okay, and then write or develop the indicators for each criterion and then test the rubric. Now the first one is to write the task description. Write the task description, have a clear task description. Task, okay, basically here you want to write clearly what is it that you are expecting for students to do as a part of their assessment. Consider the CLO intended for the assessment. So here you want to refer back to our CAP as well, okay? The course assessment plan here, we're going to use that. So now, so here let's extend. So within the same course, I'm using the same example, the same course here. So in the course of basic sociology, we have assignment. So according to the CAP, the assignment is supposed to assess CLO2 and CLO3. Okay, 5 marks is given to measure CLO2 and 5 marks is given to assess CLO3. Okay, together with PLO2 and 2, 3, 4. Remember, PLO2 is for applying knowledge, okay, while PLO4 and 5, PLO4, but this one is, remember, this one depends on program, yeah. So for the foundation program, PLO4 is for communicating in English effectively and using ICT skill here. So now, when looking at all these elements here in the CAP there, then it is made, you need to consider this when writing or developing the assessment task. Okay, so for example, so based on that CAP there, I write the task description. Student will be required to identify a current social issue. Okay, so a social issue here is part of CLO2 and CLO3. Analyze the issue from a sociological perspective. This is CLO3 here. Okay, and apply related sociological concepts and principle. This is CLO2. Right, so I combined it, okay, because why? This particular assignment is supposed to measure CLO2 and CLO3. Now the second one is to determine the criteria to assess student work. So you have to identify the competency based on the learning outcome. List all the important criteria to be assessed. Now this is a key term here, performance criteria. Okay, so performance criteria should comprise essential elements necessary for high quality students' work performance. This includes knowledge, skills, values, behavior that a lecturer is looking for. Now, here's what we mean by performance criteria. Okay, so these are the criteria detect. So last time from the CAP, we have identified that. Okay, so the assignment need to measure CLO2 and CLO3. Okay, and based on the allocation for CLO2, there are 5 marks and CLO3, there are 5 marks. Okay, and for this one particular here, okay, so remember that there was also PLO. Okay, PLO2 is already related, which is the knowledge part. PLO4 is different. Okay, PLO4 is communicating with English effectively. So I need to consider that. Okay, I need to consider that. By the way, I did not include PLO5, okay, because PLO5 will be covered by other alternative assessment. Okay, alternative assessment, which is for the project there. Okay, now for assignment, okay, I'm going to take PLO4 together as well. So in the assignment, these are the criteria. Okay, these are the criteria, so I break them up according to the relevant CLO. So 3 marks is given for their elaboration of the social issue, and then elaboration of the sociological concept is 2 marks. Okay, and then this total there, I put that total there. So this the criteria is what it means here. The focus here is here. Okay, the criteria is actually here. So this is to develop criteria. So it depends on how many criteria you want to have. That it should be relevant to the assessment tasks that you are going to assign to them. Okay, for CLO3, I break this up into 2 parts as well. 3 marks, 2 parts. Okay, it depends on your style and your need there. So some cases they are 1 mark, 2 mark, 2 mark. Some cases they are 0.5. Okay, and then 1 mark, 1 mark, 1 mark, 1 mark, for example. It depends. Okay, so long as you can match it and align it with the intended CLO and the PLO. Right? Okay, so here why PLO4? Because why? All of this, they need to elaborate and they need to explain using English. Right? So they need to explain using English there. So it embeds. Okay, so if the elaboration is clear, for example, that it somehow fulfill the PLO4 as well. okay, other than the intended CLO. Okay, so this is the tricky part here. The challenging part here is that you want to make sure that it is aligned, so that what you are asking the students do is justifiable. Okay, it's justifiable, that it is aligned with the course learning outcome. So this is the first step. The second step, which is to determine the criteria. Now the third step is to develop the rating scale or the performance level. Determine how many levels of performance needed to validly, reliably, and fairly differentiate mastery and achievement. So the key term here is performance level. Should comprise of different levels of mastery or achievement for each performance criterion. So what it means is that for this criteria, how many performance level? Level means here from highest, okay, to lowest. From the most excellent, okay, or excellent to the most poor, for example. So I identified 3 performance level, at least for the first criteria. The second criteria, only 2. Okay, probably because I want it to make it easier to mark, okay, to assign that. So I just grade this area. That means the best, okay, the best level performance for this criteria is going to have 2 marks here, and there are only 2 levels here. Okay, so here is the performance level. Okay, so some performance level or some rubric, they have 5 levels depending on situation, depending on your expectation, depending on the suitability of the task at hand. Okay, so sometimes certain complex tasks have 10 levels. Okay, it depends there. Okay, kalau apa, you are very hardworking on writing every part there, then do that. But it's not recommended to have too much, because sometimes it can become impractical for lecturers to use it if it's too complicated. You want to have simple enough, but then again, remember, it has to be, okay, validly, reliably. It should help the lecturer to validly, reliably, or fairly differentiate of the mastery or achievement. Okay, so that means to say you can differentiate. This level is important to differentiate performing students and non-performing students. Okay, right. Now, so this is what I mean by performance level there. Now, the next step is develop indicators of quality for each criterion. So you may start with describing the highest level of performance of a criterion and work towards lower level of performance. Alternatively, you can also work the other way around. That means to say you start writing the poorest quality followed by the highest quality. But I like to write the fullest one first. Okay, so this is an example here. So I write the fullest one here. So the most excellent one first. The best one. So here, elaborate the issue clearly. So this one there, clearly. It also matches with the purpose of PLO4, which is effectively communicate in English. Okay, with extensive supported evidence. Okay, so evidence is also a quality indicator of the elaboration. Okay, so have this, and then you downgrade a bit. For those students who are to deserve to get 2 points, okay, elaborate the issue adequately, from clearly to adequately, with few supported evidence, so lesser. It's not extensive, but lesser. And then the poorest one is elaborate the issue insufficiently. That means to say not enough information there, and then there's no supporting evidence. They still write something which is deserving of some points there, okay, but okay, the quality is low. This is what it means by writing the indicator for each cells here. Okay, so it should tally lah with the levels of performance and for the criteria given. Okay, so all of this talking about the elaboration of the issue. Then you start writing for the other elements as well. So I'll stop here, okay, just to show you how to do it there, because why this is very much subject related. Okay, so it depends on your assessment task there. And the last one is, once you have completed the rubric, you want to check whether the rubric, if the performance criteria is relevant enough, if the performance level is enough and distinguishable or not, okay, or it's not enough, okay, it depends on situation there. The weighting of each criterion, is it appropriate? Okay, meaning to say that, is it appropriate to give 3 marks for this expectation? Okay, so sometimes, we don't want to have a cases whereby, you give 4 marks here and 1 mark here, but the description is huge. Okay, the expectation is very high, but you are weighting it for 1 mark only. So, okay, so you need to consider the fairness as well in terms of the weighting. Okay, so that's what it means by the weighting for each criterion, whether it is appropriate or not. Is it practical? Okay, meaning to say that is it practical to have this rubric and then to have lecturers to assess? Okay, meaning to say that, okay, I believe this is practical. Okay, but you know, sometimes certain rubrics have 2-3 pages, okay, and they have a lot of criteria, okay, a lot of criteria to be assessed. And sometimes, you know, lecturers just, you know, close their eyes and just put all the numbers there because there are too much items, okay, too much description, too complex. If the rubrics is too complex, then okay, you might want to revise, okay, in terms of its practicality. So you want to look there. So here, once you develop the rubric and then you discuss, you ask an opinion by another person, okay, even students can also give feedback on whether the rubric is, you know, practical or not, but mostly it's for the lecturer. Okay, mostly it's for the lecturer, whether it's practical or not, for the lecturer to use the rubric to validly, reliably and fairly distinguish between students who are performing well and not. Okay, and consider if it can be applied consistently with different graders as well. Okay, so that, you know, it's simple enough, it's practical enough, it's precise enough, okay, for different graders to use it as well. So these are among the, you know, the 5 steps of developing assessment rubrics.